Hi, in this video we're going to take a look at how we go about grading and returning pupil assignments that have been submitted to us, or in some cases maybe even haven't. So in our example class here, we're going to have a quick look at the same assignment we looked at in the previous video. And in this case, we have test two people who has handed in their piece of work here. We have a series of other pupils who have not handed in the work, and in this case have no attachments there. But we also have at the bottom a pupil who has handed work in and that has been graded. So let's start with the most common situation. You have work that's been handed in, and if this is just work that's been done on paper, so you might have used Classroom to set a homework assignment, pupils are actually doing in their jotter, you can use this simply to track grades. So you could be marking their work in their jotter and then simply record the grade in here and then return that to them. If the pupil has completed the work digitally and submitted it here, we would either click on the pupil's name here or select them from the list here. And that would open their work up, their digital work in this grading view. Now, to quickly give you a wee tour of this, the document itself is shown here. And in addition to that, at the top here, we have a drop down that allows us to select other pupils in the class, or we can use these wee arrows to make our way through the pupils as we're marking. And then down the right hand side here, you'll see that we have the return button. So from within the grading view, when we've added a mark here, we can hit that to return the work to that pupil. Or if we've marked several pupils, we can return all the submissions at the same time. And then down here, we have a place where we can add a mark. So if we'd looked through this pupil's work and we'd added marks, so in this case, I've just used the editing mode here to go in and I copied and paste a tick symbol, go in and paste those ticks in to just indicate where the work has been correct. You could do it that way, or find another way that suits you. So we would tally up however many marks the pupil had got. So let's just say that they got 10. We can simply type that in there, and that's the mark awarded. We're able to hit return to return that back to the pupil. Now, we will in another video look at rubrics, which is another way. So if you create a rubric, you would ascribe points for specific criteria. And so this is the example rubric here that's been created. Usually you'd have more detail in them, but this is just for an example. And so you can actually use this to mark against a series of criteria. Just this kind of arbitrary because it's just a random demonstration. But you'll see that this will then tally up the score here. And you'll even notice that because the rubric is out of 15, it scales the score to the number of marks that we're assigning in the assignment itself. So if you're ever using a rubric, do make sure the number of marks in the assignment matches up. So that's basically how we would assign the mark to the pupil. Either way, that works fine. And then you can either hit return here to return it, or you can go over to the assignment itself, and you'll see that that's now automatically updated with a draft score for that pupil. Now, because that score is still a draft, the pupil can't see that grade until we actually hit return at the top here. So we're now going to hit return, and we'll get this wee notification here just saying student will be notified and can check any grade you've left. You can just hit return. And at this point, the pupil can see what mark they've got. And if you have used a rubric, they'll be able to see in their view what you'd added in that rubric. We'll take a wee look at that in a moment. And you can also, if you need to revise a grade, so if say a pupil hasn't done very well and they bring the work back in or they resubmit it, you can go into here and you can change that subsequently. So you can go back in here, maybe update that to 15. And if you update that mark, you'll see it saves as a draft at the moment, but we can hit return and return that updated mark to the pupil. So we can quite easily ascribe marks, return those marks to the pupil so that they can see how they've done. And we'll have a quick wee look here at this assignment for this pupil. So I'll just refresh it. So the pupil going in and opening that assignment, now what they will see is that it's been marked here. We can see that they've got their score at the top here is 12 out of 20, and they can see what was put in the rubric there. You may also wish to leave comments, which is something you can do in the grading view, but we will look at that in a separate video. But for now, hopefully that gives you an idea of how you would actually mark and return pupil work at a basic level. It just occurred to me that there was one other little point I should have added actually, and that was about pupils who have submitted work or who have not submitted work, should I say, that you may still want to grade for whatever reason. For example, it might be that they've not actually handed it in, but you can see there's an assignment or there's an attachment there that you can look at and you can give a grade for. So just to make you aware that you can, even if a pupil's work has not been handed in, you can still go in there and you can ascribe a grade and you can return it just as you would with a piece of work that has been turned in.